Usually my practice is to write. As a writer and as an academic mostly. I write about performance and ecology. I'm a philosopher by training, and also a set designer by training, but the two things sometimes go together. But most of the writing I do is nonfiction. It's thinking about things, it's thinking about ethics and aesthetics and philosophical ideas related to performance, art, and ecology. But I've also done some writing on the side, which is much more imaginative, fictional, different forms, different kinds of writing. So I was approached to, put in a proposal for Futures Venture, and I thought, well, I'll just go with my intuition, which is this is a chance, I'm going to take it, to do a different kind of writing out in the world. So that kind of writing relates again to performance and theater, but in a very loose way. So I was thrilled to have that chance. So the project itself has quite a bit of essay writing to it. There's quite a bit of academic research that's gone on with it. But the artistic output also sits alongside that. And it's a form and a way of working that I would like to keep doing. The nature of the content is responses to knowing that the Ministry of Defence, from a base on the Scottish side of the Solway Firth, fired 31 tons of depleted uranium into the sea over about 30 years. It exists online, and that was important to me, that it be something that is utterly free and utterly public, because I was dealing with the military. So it was, in response to that, but, it's there, it has its own life, it's moving in the world. I think that I'm not really sure, because I don't know, I've never looked into the organization, but I think they were asking people to put in very, very short proposals, and that was the first round, and it was by invitation. So I was invited in that first round to put in something that would fit on a postcard, less than 250 words. And then the next round was more words, and then the next round was, the budget and everything, which I thought was pure genius. Because if you can't put it in 250 words, you don't have a project. The questions that the work asks tend to do with the events that I'm describing, and what they mean. So it's these firings were basically illegal fire, illegal dumping of waste into the sea. They were firing on home territory. It's military practice, which of course everyone goes along with, but what happens when you put that into the sea? So a lot of the questions were just thinking, what is this? How do we? But the bigger questions of the piece were, how do you live with it? Because I live in Cumbria, you're living with how the nuclear becomes very ordinary and banal and everyday. At the same time, you're living with it being, threatening and dangerous, uncertain, uncanny, unknown. And the questions of what happens when that thing is under the surface of the sea. How does that change how you think about it, if at all? I mean, the firings that I was writing about are fairly small compared to what Sellafield puts into the sea. But at the same time, it allowed me to think about very discrete events, very legal events, that somehow let you think about what happens when you throw something in the sea and it goes below the surface. What happens to the human imagination about that? What happens, what do you keep silent? There were a lot of silences involved in my interviews with people and things like that. The other question about what form it took, that was very, very clear to me from the beginning, because, sort of nuclear things have a sort of hackneyed click about them and a really dull and tiresome. And what I wanted was to go straight to hearing, to hear this, straight in the ear, using the resonances of the human voice. So it's fictive, it's written, but the important thing, it's the quality of the human voice telling you something about radiation. Oh, no, it's acted out.
Oh,
yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it has music and the whole thing. Yeah, it's an audio piece. It's online. Not with Futures Ventures, as far as I know. I mean, if I was ever allowed to reapply for something, there's a number of things. They do continue to relate to either the military or the nuclear industry. That seems to be what's very pressing right now. I live in Cumbria. It's very pressing. It's my home territory, and
it's glowing.
And it's all there. There are other things that I'm working on, but primarily those things have come out of that project that would be worth pursuing. Relating to Futures Venture, I really appreciated I had an advisor and a supporter, which was great, and we checked in quite a lot. But I really, really loved being left alone to get on with it. It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And, I kept up and made